Oh, Lord, I'm already sweating bullets. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Austin Avenue, Clark Corner. Ring! I hope everyone is doing just fantastic today on week 832 of My Corona. Besides, as always, to my right is the beautiful, the stunning, the iconic Jalen, my sister. And to my left is the jeaned, the newly trimmed, the smaller-faced Gareth, my brother.
It's true, my face does shrink when I shave.
He's have to have his seizure first.
Need coffee to bring us to bring us today's coffee of the week. We have always Gareth. Gareth, what are we drinking this week?
Back by popular demand, I guess, is Black and White.
Still not sponsored, but Black and White.
Still not sponsored.
If you're watching this,
but brand Black and White. This one is called.
Or is it?
Go Goo Goo, which is just a made up name, I believe. I don't think it's anything specific to the exact being of the coffee or the region. It does say the region it is from down here. If you can see, it's Guji, Ethiopia. Lightly roast. It's a light roast, wash process. So we are about to see what that tastes like.
I once knew someone from Gucci, Ethiopia. Alisa, how are ya? Continue.
Okay. It was roasted but a week ago. Ground a little bit longer than the last bag we had, so we may see that affecting the flavor a little bit, but not that much because once again it still is fairly recent. So let's see what that tastes like. I'm not going to read out the taste notes, the notes of coffee yet because let's guess.
All right. One, two, three. Ooh, it's a little hot on my tongue. I had to swallow it quickly.
Oh, it's cold.
You must have kept heat. Mine's rather cold.
Mine's
but his is the most recent.
I do have a thermal. Ooh, steamy. I'm tasting nutty. Like a nutty...
I've already read the description, so it's really hard for me not to be like, description! To be honest, I'm really not getting what is written on the description. It is definitely, in my opinion, far more acidic, far more fruity. On the citrusy side of fruits, I would say. It's not so much like the deeper fruit notes, which are going to be like plum, cherry. I'm trying to think of other deep fruits that have a more... That's a wine, sorry. Plum is a wine note. Yeah, I'm trying. It's not in that area. It's definitely on the more acidic, more citrusy side of fruit. It is a lot more, like, hit you right off the bat. As soon as you drink it, you're getting the full force of the coffee. So, like, our last cup of coffee from Black and White was, I would say, more balanced. This, I would not...
Ow! Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Too much. Sorry. Too much.
This is pour over, so this is more nicely brewed. In theory, because I was still getting used to the coffee, getting used to the pour over method. We don't have a great kettle either. It's not ideal, but that's my thought.
I said nutty. I think I'm tasting a nutty. That's really, as I've always said, as I've never claimed to be a coffee guru, I am more like just a struggling descriptor.
I will agree though. When I drank it when it was really hot, I remember feeling like there was a more robust flavor right at the beginning. I'm not getting that really now.
I do taste that there's more. I will say there's definitely more. I don't know if this is because it's a pour over or because different. I don't know, but I do taste that there is something that I should be able to put words to, and I just don't know what the words are.
That's what I was gonna say. Exactly. Is that there's like something there. The flavor is much more distinct than the other coffees that we've had. But I don't know what it is. It tastes like maybe a little bit of fig.
Fig Newton. All right, tell us.
I'm confused when I read this because I didn't get any of these. That tells you how much my good tasting skills or maybe brewing skills. But it said if that taste you were tasting and couldn't put word to was candied grapefruit, you would be right. Peach or creamy.
Candied grapefruit could be right.
So
Candied?
candied grapefruit, which once again I could get the more citrusy side of things. I don't know quite where they were going for sweet, for peach or creamy. I didn't really get those, but that could be brewing method error or taste error.
Let's get the vote from you, sir.
It's definitely a yes for me. This may be one of my favorite. The most. This is my favorite cup of coffee we've had on Clark Corners yet. So.
The Gucci Nigeria has it.
Ethiopia.
Wrong on both accounts. Gogi, maybe? Gogu?
It's
Gogu?
Guji.
It's
No, it's the region
G-O-U-G-U.
of Ethiopia. That's from. Oh, that's the name.
Oh. Gogu.
Here in the States we pronounce that Gucci, so you can just continue now.
I'm surprised. It definitely has a much more powerful flavor and is a better quality coffee than a lot of what we've had thus far, but it's not my favorite, actually.
Really?
I love black and white, but it's not my favorite.
No.
And
Hold the phone!
it may be that this is cold and it tastes burnt a little bit. Like it tastes like it was over.
Yours
could
did
be-
taste a little. Yours did taste a little burnt.
Great.
I tasted all of them.
Barista error then.
Uh-oh.
It seems like there's a lot there, but they're covered by a burnt flavor.
And it is going to be a yes for me. As always, I have very, very low standards. And so it's already got my engine revving, so it's a yes from me. Gah.
Do you have a better cup?
I have the best cup. I brewed all of these. Austin's being the most recent, mine being the oldest, or brew.
Oh wow, that is radically different. This is wild.
Yours is probably the weakest.
That is almost sour compared to this with the acidity. Here, taste this one. Y'all, this is revolutionary.
It's funny because I'm getting some notes that I'm getting more of the creamy and the peach in Challen's cup than I am mine.
I did kind of see what he was saying. Actually, I got the grapefruit more. I understood that a little bit more than
This is definitely, maybe it's because it's not hot, but I'm getting more creamier in this, I think, too.
Yeah, there's more cream in this, which I brought down for this one.
I feel like I'm just tasting the residue of your cup with this. This is weak.
Yeah, that one's the weakest. This one I brought down
The residue of the cup.
I brought down the temperature. I brought down the temperature of the water. In theory, I was not testing that as very accurately to try to bring out more of the flavor because I was a little bit underwhelmed at the first tasting of my cup. So I can now taste more of the creaminess, which helps me get where they have this description. But we need to move on.
My heart is breaking. My soul is... Your soul is shriveling. Your brain is crumbling. We need the one and only, the world-renowned counselor and physicist. The one and only Dr. Gregory. Dr. Gregory, to have you back in the studio today is a
Treat.
it's a treat. Oh, it's a treat. Okay.
I like your highlights.
Your glasses. I love what you've done with the face.
The other one's broke.
Oh,
Still Scottish.
the surgery went bad, I guess. That's okay. Dr. Gregory, as always, you've brought with you the tried and true questions of psychology developed by, I think, you.
Definitely.
Please, what question do you have for us today to bring newness and new life into our dark souls?
Okay. How often do you let the little stuff get in the way of the big stuff?
Wow.
Complex.
Just let the question wash over you. Yeah.
I can answer.
Oh,
Yeah.
small face first.
Full body, small face.
Okay. Oh, I don't know if I like that title. For this one, it's gonna be kind of it depends on the situation for me, because when I'm in a good place, emotionally, and mentally, generally it takes a lot to bother me, a lot to trigger me. I've been privileged to like do some study and learn about some of like the brain science behind that, and why if you get ticked or triggered, or like pretty much something doesn't pass the first couple levels of processing that your brain goes through, the little things are going to bother you incredibly easily, because you've kind of turned into survival mode. So but generally little things don't bother me, especially when they're like not what's the opposite of relational? Functional. Especially when they're functional items, like if I have to know about what I have to do, if I'm worried about, I have to do this, but it doesn't really have to do with a relationship at all, then it really doesn't bother me. Things are a lot more likely to bother me when I know that they will break or hurt relationships. For example, I don't really care about time at all unless I know by not being there on time, or by not doing something in a timely fashion, it will hurt relationship with someone else. And then in that case, those little things are going to bother me a lot more.
Now we will let the lassie go next.
Where did your accent go? I'm sorry.
It went with the old glasses.
Oh, different accent for every glasses.
Meta.
But to answer the question, do you mind if I look at it, Doctor? Again, just make sure I've processed it right.
Of course, lassie.
I don't think I interpreted this the same way that Gareth did. I think of little stuff more as like day-to-day tasks or thoughts that kind of come into your mind, and they're like temporary and not super pressing, but just the things that you are like filtering through that you usually have to do. And the big stuff being like things that hold a lot of emotional weight or a lot of responsibility. So, for example, I could think about the little details of my job and all the things I have to do, little tasks that I need to get done. But the big stuff of my job would be, okay, why am I doing this? What's the meaning behind it? And so I think for me, it's really, really easy to get so detail-oriented. This needs to be on time. This needs to be picked up. Like all these things that I forget, I need to make sure that I slow down and really am intentional about this interaction, or communicating the value of my of the company that I work with, and really focusing on the big things of my job, for example.
I went also probably more in that direction. When I first heard this question, the first thing I thought was the follow-up question of being, well, what are big things and what are small things, because of how consequential those can be depending on the person. And then as I continued while the others were speaking to think a little bit, in addition to very much hearing what they said, I thought of a story from camp that kind of illustrates this. At camp, I've worked at summer camp for the past 5 summers, and we have a salad bar over in the corner of the dining hall and it has, baby tomatoes and carrots and broccoli and a bunch of lettuce and some fruit, and there's croutons sometimes up on top in little bowls. And my first couple years at camp, I was I would get so angry, and I mean, not actually angry, but very perturbed, very peeved, and I would get on my horse and go into battle when I would sit at the table, and coming to sit at the table with me, one of my campers would have a bowl full of croutons. And I would say, that is not a salad. And I would take it from them and dump it back into the bowl because I was like, this is the battle I'm fighting. I was very adamant about having that be the battle that I chose to fight every day, was going out and and holding these kids accountable to not getting a bowl full of croutons because that was not a salad. Starting probably the 3rd year and the 4th year and definitely the 5th year, going back, because again, it was the same every year. There would always be campers who would want to get, whether it was at my table or another table, that wanted to get a bowl full of croutons. And somewhere along the way, I similarly stepped back and had this moment of like, there's only so many battles we can fight every day, and this is not going to be one of them. Especially if it comes down to negatively impacting a camper's experience over something that is so small. When it comes to things that need to be said, and are what I would qualify as the big things, I would stand my ground, even if it did impact, the camper's experience in a way that they were, upset about. But when it came to a bowl full of croutons, it really was a small thing for me. And for a while, I was letting that get in the way. And eventually, I just kind of stepped back and was like, you know what? If these campers want to get a bowl full of croutons as their salad, it's camp. Dag fatch it. Anyway, that's my story. That's what I have to say about the small stuff and the big stuff. Dr. Gregory, thank you for your time here today. I'm going to just put this back. Wow. Your time with us today has been enlightening, to say the least. You now are able to walk away strong. Dr. Gregory, walk away strong.
No.
Finally, y'all, as always, we would like to end by offering up an encouraging word for you guys. Last week, we had Listen and Hearing brought to you by Challen. And this week, Gareth is going to bring us an encouraging word. And hopefully, it is our hope and prayer that it will give you some strength to continue on during this week and next week and until we see you again.
Kind of a recurring word that kept on coming to mind, and one that that has consistently come to mind before, and for reasons I'm about to share with you, is just the word hope. And this word, though it is so almost general, I think is in regards to how often it's used in the Bible, it's probably one of the top 50 words used in the Bible, because you hear that word and it has kind of a ambiguous meaning. It's a more abstract concept, but it means a lot to me because for a long time I had no clue what it really meant. And in the sense that I had a very abstract definition for what hope was, in regards to biblical hope. When we as Christians, we say our hope is in Jesus, our hope is in God. And I knew that, I believed that definition, but because it was so abstract, I had no roots under it. It was just all this abstract idea and there was nothing really rooted in it. Until it was pushed. A couple years ago, something I was really, really hoping for fell through, and one of my mentors kept on saying, you have to put your hope in Jesus. You have to put your hope in Jesus. And I was just like, what the heck does that even mean? I thought I was, and it didn't work. I know what I can hear. I understand the definition of what you're saying, but I really don't understand how that applies to me. Does that mean does hope in Jesus pretty much mean having absolutely no desires because you just trust Jesus with whatever happens anyway? It doesn't really matter. And that's kind of the place I was. Hebrews 6:19, which is, we have this hope, an anchor for our lives, safe and secure. It enters the inner sanctuary behind the curtain. Jesus has entered there on behalf as our forerunner, because he has become a high priest forevermore in the order of Melchizedek. And that, the translation I'm used to using, is that really picture, that image of hope is the anchor for our soul. That's really the encouraging word for today, is hope is the anchor for your soul. I think a lot of people, because they don't work on a boat, don't know what that picture really means. When do you use an anchor? When you are at a place where you want to stay. An anchor was always associated with, you've arrived at the place where you will resupply, you will fill up your boat, you will get food, you will see people. And hope, if we're using the soul, hope is the anchor for our soul, so the soul is the boat in this. The boat is the soul in this case. Everything you need is on the land. Everything you need for your soul is on land. An anchor is what keeps you there. The anchor is what keeps you from drifting away in the night where you don't have anything. As I was processing, what does this mean to have hope be the anchor for my soul, I realized kind of what I had done is I had put down a fake anchor. My anchor, so to speak, is I was getting all this comfort and security from something. I was close to land, so to speak, to continue with this metaphor. And I was getting that comfort, and the anchor I put down wasn't Jesus. It couldn't keep me there. So as soon as that anchor broke, I was drifting away from comfort. I couldn't have that comfort, that security, that salvation. I saw that my anchor had been my expectation that what I wanted would happen. My comfort was coming from that. I remember it was actually early last year, 2019. I was walking through a rice field, and I remember just being like, I had this desire, and again, I was a little scared because I was like, this is a desire I have, but the last time I tried to have a desire, I got my anchor cut and I floated away. And then I realized, wait, I still feel secure. Even if I lose this, I feel secure. Because it doesn't matter if this desire pays off or not. Because my hope, where I get my security, where I get my identity, where I get my purpose, where I get my salvation, where I get everything that my soul needs to live, is on that land, and Jesus is the one keeping me there. So that is my encouragement for today. Let hope be the anchor for your soul. And not hope is this an abstract idea of like just positive belief, but hope of someone that actually can keep you next to the land. God.
Thank you guys always for watching. We hope that you enjoyed this episode of Austin Avenue, Clark Corner. Thank you, Gareth. Thank you, Challen. Thank you, Dr. Dr. Gregory. And thank you to myself, because I'm here too. So, boys, men, and sirs, stay studly. Women, ladies, and the fairer sex. Oh, I hope that's not offensive.
Okay.